Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
I'm Darren. Hey, before we get
ooh.
going, I got something I want to share with everybody.
What's that?
This weekend, Brandon won the 2001 Chambers Emerging Business Person of the Year under the age of 30.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, that's a cool accomplishment, don't you think? I think that's a really cool accomplishment. Something you should be proud of. So I just thought I'd start the show with a big shout out for you for winning that award. I can't wait to see what it looks like. It's pretty cool. It looks like this block of wood or something.
Yeah, it's a wooden carving thing.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty good. Are you going to put it on the set somewhere?
Oh, probably with the other awards over there. Most likely.
There you go. Yeah. That makes 8. That makes that our company has now earned 8 different recognitions and awards. And that now includes international, national, provincial, and now regional. Pretty cool.
It's good.
Pretty cool. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Proud dad. Yeah, proud dad. So what do we got?
Let's get into the news.
In the news.
First news topic for last week, independent security researchers publishing a white paper report talking about the Tor exit node.
Oh, Tor, the onion router. That's what Tor stands for. A lot of
Yes,
people don't know that.
it does.
The onion router. And a lot of people think that, well, that's what allows you to go to the dark web, right?
Yes.
So what's going on with this?
Security researchers suggesting over 25% of Tor exit relays are actually spying on user activities. So I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, we've been talking about this for the last decade now. It's in terms of, just today I did a morning presentation with a grade 4-5 group, and a question came up going, "Can you talk about Tor?"
I read that. I
was
went,
like,
that's grade 4 or 5.
I was like, oh yeah, it's not private, as we'll talk about in our YouTube news show. Basically, how it can make you more private, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, we've been saying this for years. So number one, we've seen a huge uptake in Tor being downloaded and being used by youth, right? At both middle schools and high schools. It was interesting to hear a grade 4 or 5 student asking about it as well, right? Because everybody's really interested in the deep dark web, right? The kids, right? And that kind of stuff. So, and as well as adults. So you're seeing a lot of people now downloading Tor in order to go down there. And one of the things that we say is, there's more to staying safe than just Tor when you're going down into the deep web, right? And there's a fallacy. A lot of people call it the dark web. It's actually called the deep web. A smaller part of that is the dark web, right? And there's other things you got to do to protect your systems before you go down there. But a lot of you think that this will keep them private. And so that's why, we've been saying, I think we've called these privacy buttons the wrong name, right? We've been saying this for years, right? What they should actually be called are visibility buttons. So Tor is not private, but it definitely reduces one's visibility, right?
Yep.
However, still trackable. And who's tracking it?
Generally government entities. We're looking at China, Russia, United States, who are just buying up exit nodes and running them themselves and then using that as a network to track.
What's an exit node?
Basically how Tor works, it takes your internet connection, routes it to one person's computer, another person's computer, another person's computer, and then finally outputs to someone else's computer. Which in theory works, but if you collect enough outputs, which is what we're suggesting here, you can kind of collect information on what people are doing. It may not necessarily tell you who that person is.
But it definitely helps them go.
It can narrow you down.
Yeah.
So, Tor, VPNs, they're not entirely private because there are ways to track people. More difficult, yes, but not impossible.
Yeah, very interesting. Again, we've seen an uptake in this probably over the past year and a half now, like I said, with middle school and high school students looking at downloading Tor, having the Tor app on their phones, and which tells me they're going down into the deep web for what. And there's some cool stuff that
they're
goes
trying
on
to
down.
bypass the school filters.
That too. That too. There's some cool stuff that goes on down in the deep web, right? There is, but there's some really ugly stuff as well. And it's so important that before you start searching down there by using Tor, you need to make sure that you protect your devices, because if not, you can end up downloading malware by just ending up on a site down there, right?
Potentially.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Much like we say all the time, everything we do, as soon as you hit that send button, doesn't matter if you're doing it in the light web or the deep web, just understand that what you're doing can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and for sale.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the next one we got?
Next story. Apple AirTags, newly released, and someone reverse engineered it, kind of jailbroken it to kind of do their own little shenanigans with it. So, security researchers, being what they do best, these brand new fancy tracking objects that people are buying, they broke the code. They put their own custom code inside of it, where basically if you were to scan an AirTag lying around or something, or someone's AirTag on the back, if you were to scan an AirTag, it would pop up a video.
Which one?
In this case, it was Rick Roll video. Rick Ashley's never gonna give you up.
I'm never gonna give you up.
Yeah.
Never gonna give
Okay.
you down.
Yes. That. So obviously, clearly a millennial who did that.
Sorry. It's an 80s song.
Yes.
That's from my generation, right?
More so, I don't want to get demonetized. Wait, we don't even monetize yet by YouTube, so it doesn't even matter.
So interesting, right? I mean, as new technology comes out, it causes people to go, oh, let's see if we can
break it.
Let's see if we can break it. Let's see if we can hack it. Let's see how it works. Now, having said that, I've read quite a few papers now that are out there where people are comparing the Apple AirTag to the Tile, and there's no doubt that the Apple AirTag is far more accurate and has far further reach than the Tile does. And why is that?
For a couple reasons. One, it's newer Bluetooth technology. So, Tile, the original ones, still running on the old-fashioned Bluetooth, which is still great, but the newer Bluetooth gives you more sort of strength signals, so you can kind of get directional information on where the tag is. And then in terms of the network, so people may think, well, this uses GPS. Well, it doesn't. It uses a mesh network of.
And what's a mesh network? What's the difference between? I know what it is, but maybe our watchers don't. What's the difference between a mesh network and using Bluetooth or the internet?
Yeah, well, so I guess you're looking for GPS is different. So like there's a GPS tracking chip on your phone that tracks where you are with a satellite in space.
Yeah.
What a mesh network tracking system does is basically, given Bluetooth's ability to detect distance based on the signal strength,
Right.
What you can do is all iPhones now become basically beacons of sorts that are basically scanning for these AirTags. And if somebody has an AirTag, they've lost something, all they do is log into their iPhone. They go, hey, I lost my AirTag, and it sends a signal out to the iPhone network to say, hey, if you see this AirTag with this unique identifier, inform me. So basically, you're utilizing all the market prevalence of iPhones as a surveillance searching network.
I read a couple of we do a lot of work. A lot of people probably don't know this, but especially you, we've done a lot of work with transition homes, right? For those who are leaving abusive relationships, primarily those who identify as female, right? And there's been several articles now being written concerned about these being used to track or for abusers using them to track people who are leaving relationships. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Apple has stated that they have these security safeguards in place for that not to happen, but as we've seen through firsthand experiences and investigative reporting, that's not exactly all that preventative on that. But I mean, there's nothing stopping someone from going on eBay and buying a GPS tracker and using that. So I mean, if this just makes it more accessible, I mean, a GPS tracker is certainly a little more expensive and more accurate. Yeah. So this is less expensive, more accessible, but it's less accurate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's pros and cons to that, certainly.
We've written articles on our blog about how to digitally inoculate yourself as best as you can from technology like this, especially when you're leaving an abusive relationship. What you can do, because we know that there are abusers now using technology to continue on with the abuse once they're a victim, or we like to call them survivors, or leave that relationship, right? So check it out. It's called Digitally Inoculating Yourself, and it's on our blog, on our website, which is
whitehatter.ca.
whitehatter.ca.
Next one is, again, AirTags.
Uh-oh.
That's not the only thing. Researchers were able to reverse engineer AirTags again, basically to provide free internet access using Apple's network of iPhones, and it's not as cool as you think it is. So basically, using all these iPhones connected together, you're kind of like piggybacking off their internet connection to send your internet web requests through the AirTag to your device.
But the speed of it?
Extremely slow. So I mean, it's not as if you can use this to get free internet access everywhere. It doesn't quite work.
YouTube, Netflix.
It doesn't quite work like that. It won't work like that. No. But it's just more of a proof of concept to show it's possible, but also maybe these devices may not be the best idea for safety, security, privacy.
What's interesting is with convenience comes vulnerability, right? So it's interesting for sure. It'll be very interesting now to see how Tile uses some of this stuff as promotions to promote their product over Apple's product, because I don't think you can do the same thing with Tile, right? I don't think.
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen that necessarily.
So it'll be very interesting.
Well, I guess because the Find My system is hard built into the iPhone's ecosystem.
Does Apple allow the Tile app on their
Yeah.
device?
Oh yeah.
I wonder how long it'll be before they stop that, though, right?
Well, right now I think there's a lawsuit going on with Tile and Apple about market prevalence and such. So I don't know. So I don't think Apple would do that, because I think Tile right now has a couple lawsuits on them right now. They're going through the courts, if I recall correctly. So I don't think Apple would do that at this point in time.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. I can see Tile using some of this stuff, though, in their advertisements to go, hey, listen, you know what? With Tile, you can't piggyback on somebody's mobile data. On Tile, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on.
Possibly.
I mean, because there's no doubt that this is definitely a move against Tile, right? Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? So, anyways.
The next one is WhatsApp to restrict features if you refuse Facebook's data sharing new policy.
Now, why do you think they're doing this, Brandon?
Facebook market dominance.
And because Facebook is mad at Apple because of the new privacy and the new Apple update with respect to Facebook and preventing trackers and people from tracking you and third-party vendors. Yeah. So now what'll happen is that if you set up Facebook that way, if you say yes on the iPhone now, so what Facebook is basically saying, well, if you do that, WhatsApp users, because who owns WhatsApp? Facebook does. If you do that, well, then we're going to start to narrow down your ability to use WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is such a popular app. Right?
We knew this was coming, and the fear is that WhatsApp would just delete your account, and they kind of backtracked on that, and they said, we won't delete your account if you don't accept our new terms of service with Facebook, but we will slowly make your account ineffective.
So I think all this is going to do is it's going to drive business to
Signal,
right?
Oh, Signal.
And we talked about Signal last week, about some of the things that they're doing, right? Like they're pretty, when you think about their branding, Signal, and their messaging and that kind of stuff, this plays right into them, right? And if personally, from a security and safety standpoint and privacy standpoint, if I was to choose between WhatsApp and Signal, I would go Signal anyways, right? Like it's far more secure. Nothing's ever 100%, but it's far more secure, far more private than what WhatsApp is. It's just that WhatsApp was first to market, right? Like they were kind of like, because they were associated
but then they were bought up by Facebook.
Yes. And
that's when they went, that's when he took a nose down. I mean, to be fair, they are still gaining users.
Yeah.
So I saw reports showing that they are, even though they use these new policies in place, they still are gaining users.
Yeah.
So,
but is that because a lot of the younger users, because did you see what the demographic was on the gaining users? Or was it younger?
No, I don't think it was
like I do think that it's probably younger user base doing it. However, we're seeing this in our presentations right now in both middle schools, especially high schools, where a lot of students at the high school level are now moving over to the Signal app, right?
Yep.
Compared to WhatsApp, because the message of privacy is now starting to hit home.
And Signal's marketing strategy, which is basically causing disturbances, and then people are like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, they're being disruptors, right? And so disruptors have a habit of gaining attention, and maybe in this case for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, oh well, yeah, something to be aware of. So those of you who are having problems with WhatsApp, check out Signal. I have Signal. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Last story for today, for last week, was Apple reports showing that 1 million risky apps rejected or removed from Apple's App Store in 2020.
Notice it says rejected, right? So
or removed.
Did it say? Yeah, I guess, or removed. But I think their gating process of the Apple iTunes Store is far greater than the Android Store. Because usually when Android makes announcements like this, it's 1 million apps removed from their store, not rejected, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, tech enthusiasts will argue that because of that, it makes the Apple ecosystem a lot more restrictive and a lot less functional in terms of what it is capable of doing.
I guess it just comes down to what the functionality of what you want to be done with your device. I mean, a lot of people who are using Apple devices and that kind of stuff, they pretty well know what it is that they want to do with the device. And if it didn't meet their needs, then they wouldn't go with it. They would probably go with an Android device, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, chicken egg.
I suppose. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, because I know right now that there's current court cases going on where Apple versus Epic Games are debating over the sovereignty of app stores, having closed app stores versus open app stores, and what percentages of these app stores should have in terms of profit from sales. So this stuff could change potentially in the near future.
You know, the other thing, I read an article this weekend that was talking about that, you know, North America, because there's so much pressure now being put on privacy, security, all these kind of things, you know, privacy by design, safety by design into apps. It may give app developers in countries where these types of overwatch do not take place, China, Russia, maybe more of an advantage from a business standpoint.
I'm not disagree with you in that I mean,
it's interesting,
that's
right?
That's kind of the whole point of like a North American, particularly United States, philosophy on business kind of thing. And we want businesses to flourish, to have the freedom to explore, to innovate, and restrictions potentially has the ability of reducing innovation. Which, from a business standpoint, if my business in North America can't do something, but the business, my competitor in China, Russia, somewhere else can. Like, my biggest fear is when it comes down to, like, even here in Canada and even United Kingdom and such, who have privacy laws.
Yeah, GDPR in Great Britain or in the EU, right?
Yeah, there's Brexit, where there's challenges in regards to business competitions, where there's the whole reason why Clearview AI was basically strong-armed here in Canada not to offer their services in Canada. From our privacy commissioner.
Right.
But businesses in the United States are still free to use it. Not business, but I mean law enforcement, governments can still use it freely.
Businesses can too if they want, depending upon
they don't offer their services to businesses.
Depending upon what the business is.
As far as we know, in terms of, because they're a private company, it's all that stuff's behind closed doors. But they can't function here in Canada. But they can function in the United States. So I mean, that's the whole issue. That's great. BC commissioners here in Canada for privacy, in that, it's great. They can't scan our faces here in Canada. But their business and servers are in Canada. So what good is it going to do? Yeah, sure, they say, we'll do our best not to capture Canadians, but I mean, so what? What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's my point, right?
Like, what are you going to do about it?
Just because it's Canadian jurisprudence or legal doctrine or case law, it doesn't mean that it applies to any other country, right?
Yeah, I'm going to run a privacy data collection business in Malta, who has no privacy laws, which is why some VPN companies are from there. Yeah. And then what are you going to do about it? Yeah. Right? So.
And then does their product give a potential business an advantage over their competitor? Well, then they're going to go with that product, right?
Yeah. I mean, just look at, in regards to employment practices where, sure, the U.S. has employment standards and ethics in place. But when it comes to social media background checking, here in Canada, there's a lot more strict requirements, but in the United States, not so much. So in regards to maybe looking for job prospects or that type of thing, it gets, unless every country is on board with this global internet thing, with privacy, which is not going to happen.
Well, I mean, that's what the UN was supposed to be about, and how often do they ever get full? I mean, it's the internet has changed the rubrics of this whole industry, right?
That's why, like, certain countries like Russia and China are working on proof of concepts of running their own internal internet, their own national internet service. One, in case of times of war, if someone shuts down the internet, then they can still function. But also in terms of maintaining control. Because the challenge right now with the internet is anyone, anywhere in the world can share things, can post things, can put things on there. And who controls that? So,
And by the way, I mean, it's getting very competitive. All out, like I just read this weekend, like I did not know this. Did you know that China put a rover onto Mars? Yeah.
was that from the satellite that crashed down to Earth, the rocket that crashed to Earth?
I don't know. All I know is that they've now landed a rover, much like, because the U.S. was the only agency that had done it that we knew of. They've landed a couple on Mars. Well, China just landed their first onto Mars, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see
The
where
space race is
it
on.
is. That's why the United States created Space Force.
Which is a sub part of the Air Force.
I know.
Let's be clear there.
It's pretty cool, though.
It's an Air Force division.
Space Force. Right?
It's an Air Force division that ripped off the Star Trek logo.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
So let's just
Yeah. Anyways, good show. Interesting. Today was more kind of geared towards the Apple AirTags and that kind of stuff, right? And some of the issues going on there, and to be aware of. I mean, and all us techie guys, when the new tech comes out, I was going to buy some of the AirTags. Throw one in the car in case the car gets stolen or some of that kind of stuff. But before we do, if there's one thing I've learned is that before you buy the new tech, maybe let it mature for a couple of months first, just to see what goes on, and
wait for generation 2.
Yeah, wait for generation 2, and then go from there. Speaking of which, did you see Apple's got their next big thing in June?
Yeah, I know.
They're gonna be
And
talking
we
about
just
stuff.
bought an M1 Mac Mini, so we'll see if that's gonna be obsolete in a month.
Well, I mean, but still, the M1 Mac Mini does exactly what it is that we need it to do,
Yeah.
right? So, which is kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. So, anyways, so a good show.
Yeah.
Congratulations again on your
you.
award. I mean, that's pretty cool. Being awarded that for a person under the age of 30, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, congratulations.
And you're a person over the age of.
I'm a boomer. I'm 56, man.
There you go.
I'm 56. So I'm a boomer. I'm Gen 1, you're Gen 2. All right? When you think about, like, I'm White Hatter Gen 1, you're White Hatter Gen 2. You're the M1. Or if they come out with the M2, you're the M2 and I'm the M1. What do you think? Does that make sense?
You're an Intel Pentium 3. All right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I try to upgrade as best as I can. Like I do. I try to upgrade as best as I can. I mean, following your lead as my digital Yoda. But I mean, yeah, no, it was an award that was well deserved. I mean, what you've done with the company over the past year and the way you've transitioned us into the virtual world using the studio that you've developed here is spectacular, right? It truly is. So I think it was an award that was well deserved. So congratulations again. Yeah, congratulations.
All right. Well, that's us from White Hatter Team this week. We'll see you all again next. Well, no, next week's a stat for us. So
Is it?
Might be next. I think so.
Well, yeah, on the Monday. Yeah, whatever.
Well,
We can still shoot it on Tuesday, right?
we could.
We could.
Might
And
be
then-
might be a little later though. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll have video or not. We'll see. But we'll yeah.
Okay. On behalf of myself, I'm Darren.
And Brandon, thank you all so much, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye now.
Bye.